Okay, we appear to be recording. Amazing. So I'm going to share my screen with you right away. Um, she says, and actually, there we go. It's come up. Beautiful. So on a Monday, we are diving into a topic that's going to support coaches, new coaches, existing coaches, to enhance their skills basically. So everything that we do here at the SI Can method is to support coaches to be more effective at coaching, whether that's different coaching techniques or tools, whether that's through different modalities or something else. So we're going to really quickly dive into what we're going to get from today, who I am, who the team is, and then we're going to get started because I do want to make the most of this training and things that we can implement. These sessions are going to run every week. We're not here next week because it is half term and it's bank holiday, so I do plan to be away next week. But every Monday we will be live, and then these sessions will be replayed as well. Okay, so you can see me, you can see my screen, you can hear me. Super. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments as we go. We will do Q&A at the end as well. So if there's any specific questions about the training from today or any specific questions about anything else that we may be able to help with, then that'll be the opportunity to ask. Okay, so I'm Rebecca. I'll just call me Becky. I always think those who know me, those who are my friends, always call me Becky. I always feel like I've done something wrong when someone shouts Rebecca. So I'm a trainer in neuro-linguistic programming. I began NLP, just over 10 years ago. And prior to that, I was a sales coach and sales trainer. So I've got quite a lot of experience in using neuro-linguistic programming, not only being aware of using it, but also in my sales jobs, in my sales training, in my sales mentoring, we were using NLP, which didn't really call it NLP at that time. So I'm a trainer in neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, breakthrough coaching, and these sessions are all about guiding you through practical tools and techniques to program your mind for success, to boost your confidence as a coach, and to really step into your power and your abilities as a coach, not just for yourself, but for your clients as well. So each week we're going to explore a new topic designed to help you grow your skills, connect with coaching clients and get results. So I've seen a couple of questions already come through around coaching tools and techniques, around nervous systems, around getting coaching clients, which has been really lovely to see the questions already start rolling in. So this is a supportive and interactive environment. It's completely free, our school community, and it will always remain free. So please do make the most of it. And then we'll always give you the options of our paid programs as well. So I'm just going to quickly swing by me. I've got two kids. This is an old picture. They are 10 and 8 now. I love NLP, and you may have seen our comments in places like Cosmopolitan, Stylist Magazine, Grazia, Marie Claire, Psychologist, Elle, lots of great places like that. We have had some questions come through around getting coaching clients. So I just wanted to share a couple of things with you that will also be really helpful. The first one being my book, Signature Sales Success. So this is about creating and selling your own personal signature coaching program. We will be diving on different topics around getting coaching clients and things like that as well within these trainings, but that'll dive straight in and give you what you need in order to create and sell a coaching program effectively. Now, I've been really careful as well within this because I have seen many different ways to market your coaching, different businesses, different services, different products, and there are many different ways. I've been very careful to make it not specific to a time or not specific to a certain platform. So it is timeless. The way that you create and sell, and the way that I talk you through creating and selling programs and selling them and going through that process aims to be something that will continue to work forever, and it's not just time bound. You know, we've had previous great success with lots of different ways of campaigning and running campaigns. And although we do touch on that and I share with you some really great ways to do that, I've made sure that it is timeless for you. Okay, so there's a couple of my options for my books. NLP and the Power of Neuro-Linguistic Programming is a great one as well to dive into the power of NLP. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the quality of your coaching is directly linked to the quality of your questions. So we're talking about questions in coaching, firstly for yourself and for your coaching clients as well. Now, one of the things, if you've listened to any of the trainings in the training section in school, or you've been around on my email list or watched any of my videos on YouTube or on Facebook Lives or wherever, you will know that I talk quite a lot about the differences between a coach, a mentor, and a counsellor. And the reason why I talk specifically about the differences around coaching and mentoring is because a lot of what I see is coaches or people who call themselves coaches giving advice and writing marketing campaigns in a way that is giving advice or projecting what should be onto. Hello. Yes, you can take the charger upstairs. And projecting onto people what they think should be. And when you're a coach, your role as a coach is to really support and guide a client to come up with their own solutions and not to impose your own beliefs or your own model of the world onto the client. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments. If you've got a different view or a different opinion or for whatever reason, just let me know. Or if it pops up any questions or it creates a way of thinking for you, just let me know and we'll come back to the comments as well. So the reason why this is important is because quite often, if we're with a coaching client, they've come to us for a reason, whether they're feeling unfulfilled in life or they have got a specific challenge that they're working on, or there's something that's not quite working, or something that's not quite right for them. They're looking for ways to find a solution or to move forward with something. Now, if a coach was to give them a roadmap or give them a set of actions to follow that were very specific, it could create a limitation onto the client. Now, we can by all means create a framework of coaching within the sessions to support our clients to come up with their own solutions, to discover things about themselves, to understand themselves better and come up with their own solutions. However, if we give advice or give very specific actions to them that don't move within what they are wanting to achieve, then we can quite rightly limit them. An example of this could be if, let's say someone was a sales coach and or they were coaching people to, let's say the coaching client had a presenting problem of wanting to find coaching clients, right? So they were also a coach and they wanted to find clients, or perhaps they had a different business and they were wanting a successful sales campaign. Now, let's say the coach was to give advice in this situation and say, well, I got coaching clients by doing a live Facebook video and doing an Instagram reel and doing a YouTube video. And the coaching client perhaps was a bit of an introvert and didn't quite like doing video or showing their face on camera. Does that mean that they are going to be successful through this method of marketing? What do you think? Probably not, right? I mean, it could be the reasons for them feeling like that could be due to limiting beliefs, due to a lack of confidence, but it also might not be, right? And there are endless ways to market. There are endless ways to get that result without doing face to video, right? So that's just one very small example. So the role of a coach is to support your clients come up with their own solutions, not to impose beliefs onto the clients. So let's dive into some actual questions. So we've got surface versus deep questions. Now, a surface question would keep people stuck in a story potentially, and a deep question could create awareness and then create a shift. Now, an example of this could be, why do you feel like that? And now, in some ways, this could be a good question, or could seem to be a good question, but let's ask the other question instead and see how it makes you think. What specifically is causing that feeling right now? Do you see the difference? What specifically is causing that feeling right now? Now, it gets the listener to think a little bit differently, which is what we always want to be doing. Now, as a coach, when we ask questions, we create internal representations for the listener or for the client. And that internal representation wants to be resourceful for the listener, so the person who we're communicating with. Now, if we are communicating with somebody and it doesn't land in the way that we want it to, it is the communicator's responsibility to change that line of questioning or change that way of communication in order for it to land in the way that they expect it to, because they are taking personal responsibility for the communication. Okay, so when we ask surface level questions, although we can still guide the conversation in a way that's useful and resourceful and can still help the client, if we were to ask a deeper question and get a bit more specific, potentially even to the root cause, it can save so much time, energy, and effort for both you and for the client. So we've then got problem versus outcome focus. So problem questions are going to keep people stuck, and outcome questions are going to create movement, and ideally we want to be moving towards. So when it comes to coaching and getting results, and also this kind of comes down to setting goals as well, we have what's called moving toward and moving away from, and I could do a full training just on this. So when we are moving toward something that we want, we create movement, we create momentum. When we are moving away from something that we don't want, we may create moving and momentum until we get to a certain point, and then it like drops out because we've moved away from the pain, we've moved away from what we don't want, and we're no longer being pulled toward what we do want. So an example of this could be, I don't want to gain weight. I don't want to be broke. Okay? I don't want to not have any clients. So we get to a point where we're moving away from what we don't want, and then we don't get close enough to what we do want before the motivation and momentum drops out. So if we look at what we do want and what we're pulled towards, it gives us so much greater results because we keep that momentum and motivation keeps up at the subconscious level as well. So examples. Why does this always happen to you? So this, in this context, this is if we were having a conversation in a coaching session with a coaching client, and they were stuck with something. So why, instead of why does this always happen to you, we could ask, what would you like to happen instead? Yeah. So can you see that we're, instead of moving away from why is this always happening, what is that, to what we want? What do we want? What can we get instead? Okay. Okay, empowering versus disempowering questions. So an example of a disempowering question could be, what's wrong with you? Why can't you do it? And instead we can switch that up from a more empowering question, such as, what's stopping you right now? What will move you forward? What will support you to move forward? Now, again, this comes along with the moving away and moving towards, because the questions create the certain internal representation. So our internal representation, if you've not watched the videos in the training sessions yet, our internal representation I always describe my own as like a Becky Netflix. So I create an image or a picture or a movie or a sound or a feeling in my head. And that then leads me to project out a certain behavior and a certain outcome and a certain different communication, right? So if that internal representation is disempowering, I'm going to feel a bit rubbish. I'm not going to feel very empowered. I'm going to feel disempowered. I'm going to probably be tired and fatigued, and then I'm going to move that way as well, and then I'm going to project out the result of that. Whereas if I feel empowered and my internal representation is empowered and it's brighter and more exciting, I'm going to feel better within myself. I'm going to, even then, as I was saying it and I changed my internal representation, I sat up taller, my shoulders came back, and I didn't even consciously think about that. And then I project out into the world, and you can hear my voice change, and the speed of which I talk change, and the tone which I talk at change, right? Because I've created a more empowering internal representation. Okay, so it can seem so slight in the language, but the language that we use is always creating internal representations for the listener. And this is so important in coaching sessions. It is always important to ask the right questions at the right time, but also consider what kind of questions we're asking as well. So we've also got questions that bypass the critical mind. Now, the critical faculty, again, I've spoken about this within the free training that's already in the school classroom. So if you've not been through that, do go check it out. But if you've got any specific questions about it now, please do ask them. So I always explain the the critical faculty. So when I say critical mind, critical faculty, critical factor, I'm talking about the part of our brain that distinguishes between reality and fantasy. Has anyone watched Wonder Woman, the movie? Just put me a yes or a no in the chat. Has anyone watched Wonder Woman? Has anyone watched the series? Oh, and I always forget the name of it when I come to using it as the example. Has anyone watched the free training series that I put in the thing? Or has anyone heard me talk about this before and can tell me what the series is that I always use? So Neil, my husband, watched this series that he raved about. And he was like, Becky, you need to watch this with me. And I was like, nah, just doesn't really seem like my bag. I think I'll pass. And because I've seen it on whilst he was watching it. And then after about a year, I was like, do you know what? Okay, we'll try it. But as soon as he put it on, my critical faculty, so the part of my brain that distinguishes between reality and fantasy, was on high alert because I already didn't think that I'd quite like it. In fact, it was only one of my clients, as I used this example, that said to me one day, Becky, actually, it's all right. That I was like, yeah, all right. Okay. And then I watched it, and then this is what happened. So as the program started, my brain was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. What is he on about? Why is he doing that? What? No, put off. No, I can't watch this. And what was happening is everything that came in was just bouncing off my critical faculty, right? Now, when I watch Wonder Woman, I love Wonder Woman. Diana, she's my hero. Whatever she says goes. If she tells me she is going to save the world, Diana's saving the world. The world is being saved by Diana, right? So as soon as I watch Wonder Woman, my critical faculty lowers or is bypassed, and every suggestion that is presented to me within that context is accepted and delivered. Okay, so everything that happens bypasses my critical faculty because it fits within my model of the world, it fits within what I believe in. So when we're coaching people, this is another reason why it's so important not to just give advice or say statements, because it doesn't matter if I have a belief that I'm not going to be able to do something. It doesn't matter how much someone says to me, you can do it. Of course you can do it. You've got this. even if they're attempting to be my biggest cheerleader and supporter, it's just going to bounce off my critical faculty. I might even attempt to do it, right? Consciously, I might be like, yes, I can do this. But then unconsciously, I take actions or thoughts start to come in that limit me and then stop me altogether potentially, or I just don't get the result that I wanted because my actions are as a result of what's going on in my internal filters. Okay. So when we're coaching people, we want to ask questions that bypass the critical mind, the critical faculty, or the critical factor. It's all the same thing. Now, these questions are good ones. What might be possible if this wasn't a problem anymore? Because it kind of scrambles your thinking a little bit. And what would the version of you who has already solved this do? Other ways to bypass the critical mind are hypnotherapy. So hypnotherapy is a really great way to connect directly with the subconscious. And also there's quite a few different NLP tools and techniques, and timeline therapy is a really great one as well. Okay, I'm very mindful of time. So the 3-step question upgrade method. Now, this is a really great way to use questioning for yourself as well personally, because as a coach, it's important that you're applying what you do with your clients to yourself as well, and that you're living with integrity. Now, we're all people, we're human, nobody's perfect, and nobody expects anyone to be perfect, or they shouldn't anyway. But we do have the opportunity and not necessarily responsibility, but we want to be our best selves as well, right? We don't want to just coach people to be their best selves. We also want to live a peaceful, fulfilled life. So this is a really great way that we can support ourselves as well. So this is the 3-step question upgrade method. Number 1, catch the default question. Number 2, shift it to outcome focused. And number 3, make it more specific. So an example, so the default might be, why am I like this? I know for myself personally, I can get quite overwhelmed sometimes, especially when I've got a lot of stuff to do, right? I'm a mum, I've got 2 kids, I've got 3 businesses, I'm a busy person. And so I find myself having lots to do. And this is a question I'll sometimes say, like, why am I like this? Why do I do this to myself? I've done it again already, or something along those lines. Now, instead of just accepting that, we can catch that question, right? And we can upgrade it or change it or just shift it. What specifically do I want instead? Okay, so instead of feeling overwhelmed all the time, in my own personal experience, not saying this is what everyone else is doing, but it might be. Let me know. Instead of just getting frustrated with myself and accepting that I've got lots on and that I'm overwhelmed, I can ask myself a better question. What specifically do I want instead? And then I can go one step further and ask, well, what do I need to do in order to do that? What's one step towards that? What can I implement to help myself with this? So it's very solution focused. So rather than just staying stuck and that internal representation being stuck, we can create movement and move towards what we want instead of moving away from what we don't want. Okay, so here are 10 powerful questions that you can use in coaching. Please feel free to screen grab this. I'm not going to go through them individually, but if it's helpful, then do grab them. What do you want? What do you actually want instead? What's really going on here? What's the real problem? Often when we have conversations with people, we talk about the surface stuff, the surface level of detail, and there's always something deeper. Within our neuro-linguistic programming training, we go into what's going on deeper, and we dive into it in a lot more depth to understand why stuff's going on under there, and what we can do in order to support ourselves with it. But here are these questions which can really help unpick things as well. What's within your control right now? What would your best self do? That's a great question because it creates an internal representation of your best self, really allow them to feel into that as well. So when you're communicating with people, and we'll talk a lot more about this another day, but we all have different communication styles. So some people prefer to hear things, some people see things, some people feel things, and some people like a process or maybe a mixture of all three of them. And this can really help us. Well, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second then. When we're having a coaching session with someone, we can pick up whether they're more auditory, so seeing things, whether they're more auditory, like to hear things, visual, like to see things, or kinesthetic, like to feel things. And when we ask this question, what would your best self do? We can ask then leading to further on questions that help us to let them dive into whether they want to see that, whether they want to hear that, whether they want to feel that. Okay, what are you making this mean? How is this serving you? What needs to happen next? What's one small step forwards? And if you fully trusted yourself, what would you do? If you fully trusted yourself, what would you do? Okay, so I'm going to start to wrap up now. If there was any questions that came up throughout this training today, just pop them in the comments below. If there's any other questions that you have specific to coaching or something else around the training that we provide, or any of the things that we can help you with, just pop them in the comments now. And just to finish up, whilst you're writing your questions, if you are wanting to take your training further, we do have quite a few different options based on your level of commitment and level of readiness to invest. So we have the Introduction to Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is only £47. It is ridiculously how cheap it is. Let me grab the link to these as well so that you can see them all in your own time. And I'll pop it in the chat. We've then got our life coaching diploma, which is again only £47. It is a very low cost. It's about 6 hours worth of content in there. It's quite an extensive for £47. It's a bit crazy, really, but I wanted to make it a no-brainer. We've then got our EFT technique. This was previously priced at £600. And it is the exact same course. We've just taken away the live element of it and given you all the replays, and that is only £47. And then we've also got our full NLP practitioner and breakthrough coaching course. Now, this is our extensive 3-month NLP practitioner and breakthrough coaching course, and this at the moment is £1,800. You can also do it on payment plans as well if you do want to do it, but can't do it in a pay in full. For this one, you get the full NLP practitioner and breakthrough coaching, and it is the price reflects what you get. Okay, so let's have a look at the questions. If you want to have a chat about any of the options for training, just let us know. Thank you so much. It was really helpful. I love that you're doing these sessions. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm almost finished the life coaching diploma and I've learned so much and excited to complete it. Amazing. Oh, that's so good to know. What would you say then has been your biggest takeaway so far from the life coaching diploma?
Can you hear me? Yeah, I really like the GROW method that you spoke about. So I've tried it out as well on my partner. So I'm sort of just practicing that one, but it's really easy to remember as well because of the acronym. So I've really, really loved that one.
Yeah, it's such a simple framework as well, which is exactly what you need. I've had people in the past say to me, what other coaching models have you got? And I say that every time, you don't need another coaching model. What you want is to keep it as simple as possible so that the focus is on the client and not on all the other bits of where you are in a coaching session. Amazing. Okay, we'll wrap it up there. I'm very proud of myself for sticking to the half an hour. There is no session next week because it is half term and I think I'm going to be away with the children. But if you need anything, do pop us questions in the group. Have an amazing few weeks and I'll see you all in a couple of weeks on the next one.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Yeah.